bless Nina, and we ask you to just fill her with yourself. And we know you've already done that. So what we're really asking is you would just sense your presence. And we thank you in Jesus' name.
Lord.
Amen.
Thank you. I was going to pray, but you just done did that. I am a little bit of a different speaker than everyone else, in that I'm a little bit more animated. That's why Sharon, where's Sharon? Where's Sharon connected? Never change the Tigger thing, ever. Always stay Tigger. When she said, and I asked her, calm me down, like, no. Because I feel like, that's what brings joy sometimes, is somebody who's more animated or loves to see you and they're excited. So don't ever change that, ever. In fact, now I expect it. So courage is actually what I need right now, because I'm not feeling a little courageous right now. I read in the dictionary that courage is the quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face difficulty, danger, and pain without fear. That's a lie. Because I am fearful right now, so I am going to operate in courage because I am fearful. So I feel like it's, facing something because and in spite of fear, right? So fear, to me, is an emotion. It's not who you are. It's not what you are. It's an emotion. So where is my Dorian?
I'm here.
Right here. Come on up, Dorian. Don't think every time that you have to be courageous, it has to be a feeling, right? Like jumping out of an airplane or swimming with sharks. That's just insanity, but you know what I'm saying, right? I feel like courage, it takes daily courage, right? Stepping out every day in faith that you are going to do something different in your life, right? Sometimes we feel like we're doing the same thing over and over again. Would you come in front of me? So she's going to represent fear, right? And I picked Dorian because God told me to, and also because she is taller than me. And sometimes fear feels bigger, right, than courage. So that's why Dorian is going to represent fear, and I'm just going to represent me. And then we're going to see what it looks like, right? When God has a goal, let's just use your gray bag as an example. That's the goal. She's fear, and I am me. And this is us a lot of times when we are operating in fear. So, fear moves. Fear moves, and you move with it. That's what we do. Because fear has sometimes this overwhelming feeling, right? It sometimes feels bigger than you. So when fear leads you to the left or to the right, you're going to go left and to the right because fear said so, right? But it's standing in faith, it's cultivating faith and standing in courage that will allow you to be and reach the goal that God has put in front of you. Is it the ultimate goal? I don't know. Maybe it's just a temporary goal. Maybe it's a goal that you're going to. So Dorian, I want you to represent fear again, please. Listen, I'm paying you. So Dorian is fear. You are you. I am me. Ready? Go fear. Courage is standing in spite of fear. Courage is in spite of how fear is pulling you. Courage is moving towards the mark. Regardless of how fear is pulling you, regardless of what they say, regardless of what people do, it is despite that, right? That is courage. Confidence is knowing that you know that you know. Courage is not knowing but doing it anyway, right? Thank you, Dorian. You can see. Dorian's good. All right. So, a lot of people always say to me, you have so many courageous moments in your life. How did you have those moments? I wasn't courageous at all, actually. What happened was these situations in my life happened, and I had no choice but to get up and move. So I could either sit there and let it consume me and die in fear, or I can just move. Now, the result looked courageous, but the process didn't feel like courage at all, right? So I was asking God, what do I share? I mean, when Dorian was asking me, would you share on courage before the retreat, my automatic reaction was nope. No. I had tons of excuses in my head, tons of what I don't have the money, I can't go. What day is it? Oh, yeah, I'm busy. Tons of excuses. my mouth to respond to that, God was like, no, hush. I'm like, oh God, what do? So I asked him what I should do a little teaching about, right? So I thought maybe King David, right? Everybody knows about King David and Goliath. How about Esther? How about Gideon, the great man of courage, right? You know that, and he's like, no, John 5. So I'm like, okay. So let's turn to John 5 if you have your Bibles. And I will quickly read it and break it down as I saw it. So John 5, we're going to read all the way through 9, 1 through 9. So John 5, 1 through 9. And you guys, some of you have probably heard this story before. It's the healing at the pool. So it starts like this. Sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now there is in Jerusalem, near a sheep gate, a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here, a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, and the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for so long, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." Then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk." And at once the man was cured. He picked up the mat and walked. Now when I first read this, I thought, okay, so it's about healing, right? It's about a guy getting healed miraculously by Jesus. But then I prayed about it, and I kept reading, and I said, okay, break it down for me, God. And, you know, there's so much to see, right? So in verse 3, he says, a great number of disabled people. So I'm like, okay, so disabled people or disabled. It means to limit someone in their movements, senses, and activities. I'm not talking now about a physical man, right? I'm talking about your spiritual woman, right? So it's a great number of people. So I thought about that. We really need to be looking around to see who we're surrounding ourselves with, right? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? Are they disabled? Are they making you disabled? Are we disabled? I don't know. So are we allowing ourselves to be limited in our lives, limited in our senses, limited in our activities and movements to go forward? Is this another year of the same old, same old? Is it? Are we lacking the courage to move? Are we lacking that? Verse 5. There was one who was invalid for 38 years. I'm like, invalid, all right, Lord, what does that mean? So I looked it up in the Greek, and it says, having no force, no ability to produce desired or intended results. That sounds like a lot like me, you know. I've been dealing with some of this stuff for so long, I don't even know how long it's been. Same old, still dealing with the same issues. I have climbed some mountains, absolutely. I am halfway through some others. And there's some I haven't even touched yet. And it's been 38 years. You know, so I'm an invalid in that area. Time to move on. How long have we been dealing with the same kind of stuff? So in verse 6 he says, when Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" Here's the kicker. Jesus knows he's been sitting there year after year. And he doesn't even bend down to a piece of, "Oh, it's been 38 years, you all right?" No, Jesus didn't go there. He just quickly, "Do you want to get free? Do you want to be free?" That's what he asked him. He didn't go through all of that. That hit me in the chest because as I'm even standing here doing this in fear, right? Do I even want to change, or am I really comfortable with being uncomfortable? Is my uncomfortable place just comfortable for me, right? Because the minute that you try to take me out of that comfort of uncomfort, I don't like that, you know? Let's not get crazy, you know? Let's calm down, everybody relax, you know? Sometimes we do, we lack the courage to either stand in faith, because God told you to stand, be still and know that I am God. And sometimes he actually asks you to move, right? And sometimes we just don't want to do either. So we'll go ahead and watch TV. We'll go ahead and we'll do something. We'll work more. That's good. We'll work more. We'll invest more in cleaning the house, watching the kids, walking the dog. But let's not get uncomfortable. This is not a comfort bubble. Let's not pop it, right? So, in verse 7, "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. And while I am trying to get in," thought he was invalid, but there's ability to move, isn't there? "Someone else goes down ahead of me." Sounds like a but God to me, right? I have so many reasons, but God. They got more money than me. They got more intelligence than me. They're prettier than me. They're taller than me. They're thinner than me. Always a but God when he's asking you to do something, right? And all of it is going to culminate right down to what? Fear. Right? Because all of it